Hello and welcome back. In this section, we're going to learn about Autopilot deployment. This Autopilot is a feature of Microsoft Windows 10 operating system, and we are going to learn about this feature and how best we can deploy with Microsoft Intune help. So let's begin with that to understand what exactly the Microsoft Windows Autopilot deployment. Autopilot is a zero-touch or self-service Windows deployment platform which is introduced from Windows 10 with the version 1703. So it's almost 2017 which the Autopilot got released. So this Autopilot is a process that runs immediately after you power on any new computer for the first time. If you remember, when you bought any new computer, it's going to ask you, hey, what's the language you want to set it, and the keyboard. It's these are all the options. We call it as a OOB experience, out of box experience. So that's where it's gonna start. So all these can be automatically customized with the help of Microsoft Intune. It's not just the OOB experience. You can push your applications, you can configure your Wi-Fi profile, all the configurations that we learn throughout this Microsoft Intune course. Most of the configurations can be automatically pushed on that device. So at the end, your end users have the machine, it's ready state for them, so they can be productive as soon as possible. You can also use Windows Autopilot to reset, repurpose your devices, or you can recover the devices. So this solution basically enables your entire IT department to achieve the above with no infrastructure to manage basically. So you don't need to have any of the server on your infrastructure. If you remember the days where we used to manage with SCCM, you need to have a SCCM server, one admin for SCCM, one admin for your imaging and driver management. A lot of headache to be all that to be managed. Now there's no infrastructure cost or to manage all that larger things altogether. This Autopilot also simplifies all parts of your life cycle of Windows devices. This with both IT as well as the end users, from initial deployment phase to the end of life cycle or end of life of that specific device. All the phases Autopilot can be involved. So by using this, leveraging the cloud-based services, it can reduce the overall cost of deploying, managing, retiring devices by reducing the amount of time that IT needs to spend on those processes, or the amount of the infrastructure that they need to maintain on premises or outsource, or maybe the admins. All that has been gone now. So while ensuring the ease of all these users of all types of end users, you are actually benefiting out of this, and this way you're saving the cost also. In the past, if you remember, we used to maintain a SCCM operating system deployment. For that, we need to have the complex drivers, and that has to be tested, and we also involve a lot of human cost and lifecycle management. Traditionally, the IT pro spends to a lot of time building and customizing their images. With the later point, they have to deploy and test it. All that as the olden days has gone now with the introduction of Autopilot, and the management solution is Intune in this case. So that's what we're going to learn in this entire section. And also I wanted to talk about a little bit on further on the Autopilot. Autopilot, also you can use your existing Windows 10 installations that can be transformed into business ready state. So what happens is you can apply your settings, policies, you can install applications, you can even upgrade one operating system edition to another operating system. For example, changing the editions of Windows 10 from Pro to Enterprise Edition, or you can also do the repurpose that specific device. For example, that is a user who was no more working with our company example, then we can reuse or repurpose that specific device. These all are some of the use cases that we just talked about Autopilot specific. Let's understand what are the other technologies or involved within the Autopilot. Definitely, I'm not gonna talk on everything, but the things which I can at least light on for you, so that you know that hey, Autopilot is working because of other technologies that are tightly integrated with each other. For example, the first one would be the devices must be registered in your organization. That means the devices must be part of your Azure AD. Then only this entire Autopilot can work. So that's another way, you're managing your devices, so the devices must be in Azure AD. It means that the company branding needs to be configured in your Azure Active Directory. I'm going to talk all these things in detail in the later sections. That's why this Autopilot has a different video sets altogether. But let's understand, in my point of view, what all other technologies are clubbed and you're getting as the output as Autopilot. So as I said, devices must be in Active Directory, which is nothing but Azure AD. In fact, it also Autopilot also can work in your hybrid environment, which is Azure Active Directory and your Active Directory on premises. And let's also these company branding should be there. So when I say company branding, or when you're trying to log in, your company logo, company name, so all that we configure in Azure AD, so that also must be configured. And also the networking connectivity to the cloud services must be available, otherwise you can't definitely communicate with Autopilot or with Microsoft Server. So these are the cloud services specific components also involved in Microsoft Windows 10 Autopilot deployment. And also devices that have been pre-installed with Windows 10 professional or enterprise or education, and with the at least 1703 or later build versions are needed. So these are the 1703 which I'm talking about now, but for a few of the features it just need at least 1803 or 1903 some of the features, because every day Autopilot is evolving to take the feedback, and it is offering new feature sets. So at the end you need to have the latest build. So I'm going to talk on those later point. And also these devices must be have the internet access, otherwise definitely you can't reach the Autopilot server, which is hosted in Microsoft Cloud, or maybe Intune server it can't reach. So you need to have that machines during the build process. At least the internet should be available. And also to work all these features which we are discussing in this lab, you need to have the Azure Premium, Azure Active Directory Premium, Azure AD Premium P1 or P2 licensing, and that's a part of your EMS licensing. And we talked about that in the licensing section. If you have not learned that, you can go back and check out. So these are some way or other way you can think that it can be a pre-requirement, or it can be a technology that is involved and clubbed, and it is coming out of a word called Autopilot. So also you need to have the devices that must be joined in Azure AD, which we talked about in the first point. Also these devices definitely should be registered in your Microsoft Intune. So if the device is not registered in Intune, that means Intune agent itself not there on those machines, you can't expect the applications or the compliance policies, whatever you configure, which definitely doesn't come to the client machine. So you can't say that Autopilot is successful for you. So to work all these, you need to have all these features. So this is all about the Autopilot, different technologies. And the last but not least one would be definitely you need to have the Microsoft Intune as the management, mobile device management console for us. But if you are using any other technology which you wanted to manage, definitely like a VMware Workstation 1 or cloud services, because like you do have the MDM other third-party providers, they also support the Autopilot option, because Autopilot is not the Intune feature. You need to remember that it's a feature of Windows 10, and we are simply using that feature with the integration of Microsoft Intune in this course. So that's the other one of the part you need to have. Thank you for watching this. I will catch you in the next lecture.